So welcome to the next edition of the Rare Business Podcast. With me today I have Adrian Collins of Ziggurat Brands. Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing? Very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So, Adrian, for the benefit, I just pointed a note, it's quite funny interviewing somebody called Adrian, being called Adrian myself. So, just as a bit of an aside. For the benefit of our listeners and readers, can you tell us a bit more about you and a bit about the work that you do?
I started off in a Ford Motor Company. I'm actually an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I used to plan the cars of the future.
Fantastic.
I spent a little bit of time in IT, and I joined the branding business in 1990. I've been branding big, small, global, domestic, innovative products for big, small companies ever since.
Okay.
I've been managing director of Ziggurat since 1995. I own the business today.
Mm-hmm.
We currently are about 15 people,
Mm-hmm.
and we service clients such as Carlsberg and on the big side, and small companies, sort of
Emerging brands.
Emerging brands.
Okay. Now, the reason why we got put in touch is that you've been pretty busy lately with a partner firm developing new products that are related to transforming back care in the UK. And the thing that was really interesting I found was that you were talking about your approach to new product development. And so can you tell us a little bit more about the new products and why you developed them, how you developed them, and kind of what's different and that sort of stuff? Because it's fascinating, isn't it?
I think innovation is one of those serendipitous type of things. I've had a bad back since my mid-20s from a squash. So I've been looking at back pain or suffering back pain most of my adult life.
Yeah.
My best friend runs the London Spine Clinic. He's one of the few neurosurgeons that specialise in back care. He's a globally renowned spinal specialist.
There you go.
We have kids who are the same age. He has a place in America.
Right.
We go over to America, where we holiday with a whole load of other spine surgeons. I'm often the only guy in a golf cart who's not a spine surgeon. But I'm safe in the knowledge that if anything happened to my back, I couldn't probably be better.
Yeah.
But so
you don't feel like a lab rat. All these kind of people poking at you.
Yeah, and so 3 years, 3 summers of going over there with John and sitting there and sometimes smoking a big cigar. It's not bad for a medical guy, but a nice red wine, a big cigar, and we talk about the treatment of backs, and how bad and how poor it was. How poor GPs, how little GPs really knew about backs. How poor the treatment. I mean, the things you didn't know. I don't know if you know, but you will never ever get, if you go to an A&E for the bad back, you will never get through those swing doors to a bed. It's just, you're taught in med school. If a guy turns up with a bad back, get rid of him.
Right.
If he turns up with a bad back and a suitcase, get rid of him faster. So you can't. What John said to me was basically the system would just stop if they brought all the back care patients into hospitals.
Isn't there a frightening statistic that says that what's the percentage of people that suffer from bad backs at some point?
But when we got going, Boots' own numbers are 20 million.
Right.
So that's a third, but it's 85% of people sometime in their life will suffer from back pain.
Right.
It's the second biggest cause of lost days of work. There must be a better way. So I sort of said to John, stand looking at that fixture. I kind of humped over, looking at the fixture, and I'm thinking, what could help me?
Yeah.
And there's Rowjecks. There are a few things that have been there since I was a lad.
Yeah. Deep heat Rowjecks.
Deep heat Rowjecks. But now they've got deep heat and deep cold. When do I use the cold one?
Yeah.
There's nothing to explain to me. There's nothing. It was just. I said, there's nothing at the fixture there. There's nothing for the average man just to be able to go and understand his predicament and treat himself. Really. But there are magazines. But if you're in the medical world, there are people who make various things, but they never make it to somewhere where people could actually buy them.
Right. So it's all like professional market rather than consumer market.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
For doctors and but doctors don't know what to prescribe, so doctors don't prescribe. So John and I talked about what we would like to do. There is an opportunity to do something. and we had 3 holidays year after year where we would do it, and then
develop a little bit further.
develop the thinking. Well, the 3rd year, as we were finishing the holiday, I said, John, we're never going to get anywhere with this because you're going to go back and you go back there and you're going to be busy. I'm going to be busy because we both run our own businesses.
Yeah.
It's not, nothing's going to happen. So I've got a mate of mine, I've got a guy I know who's the marketing director of SSL up in Manchester. They were a company that owned brands like Mediced, Dr. Scholl,
Right. Okay.
Durex.
They're in the manufacturing sort of that sort of in that sort of space.
Yeah, they're one of the big drug companies. And I said, I'm going to give Mark a call. I said, maybe you and I will meet Mark, and maybe there's a way we can help him where we create the brand and have an idea of how this brand could work and how it could help people. And he actually does the grunt work in terms of product development, and we probably work with him, advising on clinic, advising on brand, advising on everything that we talked about. So I took the task. I'll set this up. Of course, I came back to a big picture of PepsiCo. This manic here, and about 5 weeks later, the phone rang. Oh, Adrian, it's Mark Critchley.
Right.
I'm thinking, why are you phoning me? I normally phone you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get work off you or something.
Yeah.
Why? And he said, you might have read in the paper last week that Reckitt Benckiser have bought us for £2.5 billion. I did see that. He said, well, I don't want to go to Germany, and I certainly don't want to go to Slough. I said, that's understandable. So he said, I've taken the money. I'm going to take the money. I'm going to take the package. He said, but you always talked about venture stuff. Whenever you talked about venture ideas and your love of wanting to do them. I said, have you got anything on the table?
Funny you should say that.
I said, oh, this is fate.
Yeah.
He said, what do you mean on fate? I said, I'm supposed to have called you 4 weeks ago. We have got something. We wanted to talk specifically to you about it. We explained very briefly what it was. And he said, sounds fantastic. He came down to Harley Street a week and a half later. We went through it with John and his clinical partner, Paul Ankers, who's a rehab physio guy, one of the world's top guys. Mark, it just blew him away. It just completely blew him away. He said, this is fantastic, I want to do this. He said, but we need somebody else. There's one more party to this. And that's where bringing Mark on board was ticking all the boxes that I'd failed. That some of the people that have come here with ideas in the past, they didn't. Mark has been global brand director of Durex. It's a £250 million brand. He took to 500 million. He'd been marketing director of the whole of the UK operation. He had tremendous commercial credentials. He had that ability, working with product development, manufacturing, supply, distribution, the whole thing. He had
knew how to scale it.
He just knew all that stuff. John and I knew branding. And it was still my idea, more John and I's idea, and so we got. So he said, well, when I did Durex, we launched that range of play products, vibrators, toys, and all that kind of stuff. Which has been hugely successful. It's a £150 million piece of business now. He said it's been hugely successful. We use Seymour Powell for design work. Well, I said, well, I know the guy who owns Seymour Powell. So we agreed that we would approach Seymour Powell from 2 directions. He'd go in at the director level with the people he'd done all the toy work with, and I would go in at the owner level. But bless them, Seymour Powell came up for it. And we got together lots and lots of times early on to try and figure out what is it we're trying to do here. What is the market, what's happening out there, what's the problem, dissecting it, and we very quickly started to develop a proposition of where to go, how to come into this market. Now you could have tried to do some real whiz-bang, completely new idea of stuff. Our view was that the consumer was not yet aware enough of the standard stuff that he wasn't accessible to.
As Donald Rumsfeld would know, they didn't know what they didn't know.
They did, yeah. So we'll go in. What we need to do is find a way for them to actually help them understand their condition. So part of the thing was, and that's why when you come to this was one of the breakthroughs. This was one of the breakthroughs was when we created this,
Yeah.
which was a diagnostic. You can stand there, and we envisaged this as a big piece of POS and whatever.
Right.
But that's our system. The back. We created this system,
Right.
and we identified there are 5 areas on the back where pain will come from, and we identified just on each one the most basic symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and that just gives you an indication of them. So each one we've called a zone,
Mm-hmm.
and then each product, our first 5 products, we were obviously investment constrained by how much money we had. This was
Mm-hmm. But this is quite. I think one of the fascinating things is that with this is that, particularly with many sort of medical sort of products, and I think this applies to many industries where they are influenced by technical specialist kind of like knowledge, is that they forget that the people, the end users, aren't technical or professional and specialists, and therefore this all talks to people in language that they understand.
Well, that was the way we tried to do. For example, we took out words like middle bag. That there are technical terms for that part of the bag.
Well, exactly.
But people don't know that, but they understand their middle bag.
Well, it's just there.
Yeah, that's a thoracic piece.
That doesn't mean that means nothing.
Means nothing. So what we wanted was a brand that people could find. Scratch the surface, and they keep on finding more and more and more.
Yeah.
So behind this, if you go to the website, which is backpainhelp.com, you'll find an increasing amount of resource.
Right.
And there will continue to be more and more and more resource. There'll be rehab programs, with exercise. So that's part of what BAC is. The brand philosophy of BAC is don't just look for the knife. There are other ways, but that forces you into a different way of thinking. It forces you to need to learn about what's wrong with your back.
Okay.
This brand is probably more akin to the Weight Watchers brand, which says, yes, we can provide you with knowledge, but you have to play ball. You have to bring something to the party. You have to do something.
So if I think about it from a customer perspective, it all feels like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? It's like it's all very straightforward. You explain, you educate, you kind of help people, talk to people in the language that they understand. But in your experience, how different is that to sort of normal sort of NPD? Is it that more people just go, here's a product, and then they force it on the market rather than trying to really understand the market?
Does innovation, or does NPD have always to be some massive breakthrough piece of technology? I think we've got so used to that.
Well, there is that too, yeah.
I'd say making this thing accessible and this range of products accessible in a way that they haven't been is innovative.
Well, of course. I mean, you're absolutely right that there's people kind of think that, almost assume that if you talk about innovation, then you have to talk about it has to be something absolutely brand spanking new. It's not, never seen before, but actually it could just be a slightly different approach to an existing sort of issue, or bringing something like you've done. It's almost like existing kind of knowledge, and to some respects existing sort of products that have been around, variations of, to a different sort of market in a way.
Go back to the example you cited earlier, which is your tea person.
Oh yes.
What he's brought differently to a market is his personal values.
Yes, no, of course.
What he regards as the best way to drink tea, and a way that people will either think he's a nutcase, and I'm never going to pay that much for a cup of tea, or there are other people who think, I've never drunk tea like this before.
Yeah,
this is brilliant.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I think that great brands, particularly in that kind of sphere, polarise people's opinions. Now we're not trying to polarise people here because we want anybody who's suffering from a back problem to find their way to our brand.
Yes.
So I'm not necessarily trying to do that kind of. But what I am still trying to do is build the depth and of meaning into the brand. This is all about education. This is the case where if they know, they'll do something. If they don't know, they can't.
Yeah. And now in Boots?
We launched in Boots last September. We initially got 56 stores. 56 stores nationally, and we've got 4 shelves. We've got this much shelf space.
Yeah.
Four shelves, and they're happy as Larry with it. It's going really well, and we are now, by the end of the summer, we'll be in with the full range in 212 stores. The back of the shoulder brace will be in 520, because it's just flying off the shelf. We can't make enough of them.
Yeah.
But we've also, this is the part where we're taking it to the States.
Well, I mean, so that's fascinating. You go from 0 to 100 miles an hour kind of quite quickly, sort of thing. But I guess you did a lot of work up front, figuring out the idea and getting it right. And
yeah, I think the meeting in London and High Street was in 2011. I think it was November 2011.
So do your homework, I guess.
I think it's a bit about do your homework, but there is a point when you just have to commit and say, I think this can work.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is important is, I think it's about surround yourself with the right kind of people. I have learnt a lot in the last 3 years now, bringing this to market. One is kind of it was John and I's my idea, but 2 is how it then made its way to market. I said, I'm thinking of maybe what I would like to do in the future is actually do more of backs. I've enjoyed this. It's been fun, exciting, challenging, and but the truth is, I'm also terribly wedded to this because we're only just starting. We're just beginning to scratch the surface. When you're cash constrained, as we are still, you can only do so much.
But it also forces you to be creative in how you approach things.
Yes.
So I mean, what would you? I mean, if I said to you, so there's another entrepreneur business that's out there, and given that your experience in it feels like it's quite a compressed and accelerated sort of process that you've gone through. What would you if there's somebody who said, right, fine, lessons that we learned from the last sort of 18 kind of months or so, or even before that, sort of in that idea development, and then the last sort of year or so then that you've accelerated up to speed, what would you say the big lessons have been for you?
Quality of the people around you are the top people making decisions. I think that's absolutely important.
Yeah.
It's very easy when the thing you haven't got is money.
Yeah.
To find yourself when you get together as a team talking about having the money. And it's very easy to lose sight of the fact that actually what we're trying to do here is build a whole load of products that help people's backs. It would be so much easier. If you've got deep pockets, you can spend, but doesn't mean, and you come up with something. It doesn't mean it's on the mark.
No.
It doesn't mean it's going to do the job.
No, sure.
There are lots and lots of expensive failures.
Yes. But then also kind of focused on the actual kind of like problem, and it seems to be that as you rightly say, is when you've got a lot of money or deep pockets, that it's really, really easy to get caught up in the possibility of what you could do, rather than the probability of what will get used.
I think one of the problems working as I have done with so many different companies, innovation departments over the past 25 years, is people are looking for linear solutions to problems which aren't linear. You go and talk to any company out there selling an innovation process, they're looking for the process. It's all driven by the logic. I need to be able to explain to my bosses it's got to be logical. And they forget very often there's a little bit of magic involved in things.
Yeah.
I tell you, I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to package that magic up. And I don't know anybody that will. But the truth is, I know it exists. I know that's the way it is. And what you find in big companies is everything becomes incredibly political.
Oh no, I've worked for big corporates and in the same sort of like space in sort of ideation, new business development, sort of innovation, sort of like stuff.
Pet ideas, pet thoughts,
and we've done some cracking we've done some cracking stuff, and the things get canned because people don't have the patience for it, or they're not willing to kind of give it time to.
Also, big companies have got different. I think big companies go about innovation in a strange way. I wouldn't. I mean, I remember working with GlaxoSmithKline many years ago, and they were struggling with innovation, and they opened a little special office on the Bath Road, 5,000 square feet with 7 guys in there, and they filled it with fluffy boats, bouncy toys, bean bags, and so on. That's what the perception in some corporates is what innovation is all about. It's not. It's not that. That's not the reality.
No.
That's not the reality. In fact, what happened was every single one of those 7 people subsequently left the company to launch on their own the ideas they spent a year researching.
The company rejected.
Yeah, the company rejected, and because GlaxoSmithKline, they're not really interested in something that's going to be $1 million in its first year, $3 million in its second year. If it doesn't bash out 10 in the first year, they don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's not the way things work, and they need to find a way. I think they need to find a way to. And some of them are looking at now venture funding and doing stuff. So some of them are getting smarter.
I mean, I worked in the sort of early World Cummers about 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, and same challenges existed. And I was working for a big energy company, and there was this idea that we have got this capital hurdle rate of X%, but when you think about the innovation sort of idea generation process, they were saying, if this doesn't have a net present value of over X amount, and this had to be in the billions, then the exec board is not going to even get out of bed for it. And it was a bit like, so we threw away so many things because it just eliminated opportunity, because it was all about allocation of resources. And I get that, and I understand that, but it's frustrating if you're in the process, in the middle of the process, because you come up with these ideas, it's a great idea and it can be brilliant, and then they go, no, it's just not big enough. Crumbs.
Well, that's why you end up with M&A being the only way that they can develop their businesses, because it's and the truth is, some of them are so bad at innovation as well that you're better off buying one that suddenly's got going, and then you can apply scale.
Yes.
What lots of big corporations do is they bring scale. They don't bring creativity. They bring scale. And so they can take an idea that's working nationally and scale it globally, whatever. But they can do that.
So in many ways, they should probably look at themselves as they are. Maybe larger firms should start being a bit more honest with themselves about what their real capabilities are.
Well, if you take companies like Unilever, I haven't seen them launching as many new brands in the last 10 years as they launched in the first 10 years when I did work with them. And I think they've realised that they don't do that well. And I think they've got this up, Unilever Ventures, for example, and that I read somewhere that P&G, for example, now 40% of P&G's innovation pipeline comes from this website. They have a website where if you're an entrepreneur, you can put your idea with an NDA, and they'll commercially evaluate whether, and if they really like it, they'll invite you in, and all of a sudden that's a great way for I think a small entrepreneur to find.
I mean, I understand that they also they ask their customers a lot for ideas. The customer P&Gs are a bit of a pioneer in terms of asking their customers for a bunch of ideas, and then they go, "Thank you very much."
Well, isn't it? But
that's kind of why. Well, why aren't you doing that? Kind of like.
We should have done that. Should have been doing that forever. But
it's the first thing you should do.
My guy there, his name's the innovation director, and he's supposed to have the ideas. No, he's not. He's not the guy who has the ideas. He's the farmer. He's the one that actually gets all of those ideas and tries to make sense of them. Yeah. But he's not responsible for having the ideas. No. Great ideas, don't care where they come from.
So America's the next big thing, is it?
Well, I think there are lots of different things going on. I mean, we've got 5 initial products. We've just done the back pain show in London. We launched some ancillary products. we've got a product now which can sit on your laptop, sorry, your desktop, and it's called Posture Minder, Back Posture Minder.
Right.
And it monitors your posture, and it reminds you. So that's right.
Crumbs.
Do this, it's just recognising that. So we think there's a professional market. We did a thing with. We think there's an opportunity to get into the professional market across manual labour and
white and blue collar sort of stuff.
Yeah. There's an opportunity for product development in that area.
So you're actually looking at from a more for like in the back as a holistically, and there's an ecosystem of like stuff, whether it's you or other people.
If you actually think, there's a lovely old song in there. We're just launching. We couldn't get our fifth product to launch in September, and it's launching now, and it's a neck brace.
Zone 1.
Zone 1 neck brace, and it's a fascinating product because it looks like it is innovative. It looks like no other.
So it's not like a collar.
If you think of the most neck braces, post-operative neck braces, are those foam things. These foam things, or there's a sock inside a big plastic thing that holds up like an African warrior. Patients hate both. They hate them.
Mm-hmm.
The foam one. If you think about this, I never thought about it, but the minute you put it on, you start to sweat.
Yeah.
By day 3, it's collapsed. It's collapsed because of the sweat. So your face chin just sits in the mould there, but there's not an awful lot of support there.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't like them. They look horrible. They smell. They're just awful. Our neck brace is just a thin wire contraption that so it's made of tube. That's a tube. A tube has enormous strength.
Yeah.
Because of modular strength, and so you put it on there and you can move around. It gives you freedom of movement.
Okay.
It gives you freedom of movement, but it really gives you support as well. And you
just kind of there.
So it sits under here, and it goes down and sits on your sternum, and it goes up the back with a little bit of Velcro, and loving it.
Wow.
So that's launching in September.
So where can so is it the best place to find out more about all of the products and the kind of the back as a system? Is that backpainhelp?
Backpainhelp.com. Yeah,
fantastic.
And there will be gradually more and more resource on there in terms of if you're trying to work with a shoulder problem or you'll find
well, I think
more physical rehab stuff, programs.
Oh, it's fascinating, and I congratulate you on your success, your fast success today, and future, and I'll have to check out the backpainhelp.com and spread the word. But Adrian,
hope that helps.
Yeah, well, I wish you well, and congratulations on the success to date. That's been fascinating.
Thank you very much. It was really nice to talk to you, and it's very enjoyable. I enjoyed that.
Fantastic.